So I'm going to just show you some different pictures of rain gardens, but also bioretention, dry streams, different things. So this is one that's kind of fun. This is near Diridon in San Jose. So this is a new parking structure. It's less than 10 years old. What you see is, notice there's no curbs, right? This is just a flush concrete curb. There's no 6-inch high curbs. All the water from the parking lot flows to this bioretention area that is planted. And I would tell you that these daylilies crapped out after a year. Did not make it. However, one of the plants that you will find in almost every rain garden and bioretention area is common rush, which is a native plant. Why can't I think? Patens. Diana, help me. What's the? Juncus, thank you. Juncus patens. You will see that, I think, in every single picture that I'm going to show you. Yeah, so, and the Juncus is doing quite well. This is at Stanford Hospital. This is, again, a new parking lot that they installed. This is all Juncus patens. See the drain? See how high the drain is? So again, they don't want it to overflow, obviously, but they have this drain and it's set really high. And then what you see is the parking lot slopes, and then it goes on this concrete piece and then goes into the bioretention area. And you're also seeing a little bit of rock. How are we doing?
I was making it full screen.
Oh, did it go away? Oh, that's what happened when I pushed that. Okay. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. Oh, yeah. So there's some rock at the entrance to the bioretention area because you're going to be getting a lot of water flow, even from a downspout. So you need something that's going to break the water and not just erode away the soil. So, you know, rocks, leftover bricks you have around. You don't necessarily have to buy anything, just use what you have. I love this picture. This is from Tree People. They're down in LA. They do a lot of rainwater harvesting projects down there, and they have quite a nice site. But what I find is interesting is, you know, here's a sidewalk. Here's some, looks more meadowy than actually lawn. But look, there's no parking lot. It's a big grassy lawn. Now, they're putting this bioretention area here because lawns take so many chemicals, right? Fertilizers, weed killers, all kinds of things. So they put this in as kind of a buffer to take out all those chemicals and then sink it into the ground. I think that's a very, very interesting use. Here's another retention area. This is someplace up the peninsula, I don't remember where, but it's just nice to see it filled. So here they do have some curbs, 6-inch high curbs, but they have some little curb cuts. And look, they've put a little piece of concrete. You know, this is a shopping area. So it's a little bit more sturdy, I guess, I would say, than you probably need. I don't have a picture of the drain here. No, I don't have a picture of the drain. But you can see the water is really, it's really flowing in there. And then obviously the top of the grade, this is pretty high here. The top of the grade has to be lower, obviously, than the parking lot itself. Here's a little bioretention area, Starbucks off of Coleman. Obviously this is pretty small, but you see the entryway from here and from here. It's not planted very much. I'm sure there's some engineered soils there because it's a pretty small area. But again, it's taking all that water from the parking lot, getting into our aquifers and cleaning it. So dry stream beds are very popular. People like the look of them. I don't know why we call them dry stream beds because they shouldn't be dry. You really want to hook them up to some kind of a downspout if you can. A dry stream bed takes a lot of stone and excavating. So let's get some use out of it, you know. So here we have, here we have 2 downspouts, and they're running into this little dry stream bed. It's going under the sidewalk. You can see that the sidewalk was kind of cut out and then dug under, and then that piece actually put back in. This is a design by Alan Hackler, but look at all the water in here. It's quite fun. Here's a dry stream bed. This is in the summer, so there's no water here, but this couple had like an elaborate system of pipes. So they were taking their downspout water and taking it out to the street. This is in Foster City. And so I started it right at the main downspout there. And he said, oh, it's connected there. I said, yeah, you can get rid of that pipe. It doesn't have to go to the street. It can just stay on your property. Here's another one from Alan Hackler. I love this one. So here's a deck. The downspout was running right onto the deck. You gotta be kidding me. It's a wood deck. That's just gonna ruin it. So he popped it, extended the downspout under the deck, and then picked it up and then took it to this dry stream. Okay, just another one. Another one. Here's another one. Here's one with some water. Hey, what do you think that plant is? It may not be Juncus patens, but I think it is. I think that one is. I'm not sure about that one. Okay, planting. Let's talk about planting your rain garden. How are you guys doing? Do we need to take a break soon, or are you good? Mm-hmm. Great. We'll finish rain gardens. We'll take a break, and then we'll talk about rain barrels and cisterns. Okay. So fix your gutters. You need to have nice, clean gutters. They have to work because you want to get that water and get it into your rain garden. You want to observe the water when it flows on your property. So now is a great time. That's why I tell people do it in the fall. Early fall is really good, or once it starts raining is a really good time for a couple of reasons. I mean, it's nice to do it in the summertime, but then you really can't test it that well. And let's face it, in the summertime, our soils are so dry. They're very hard to dig and excavate. So we want the soil, so I'm talking about gutters. Okay, we'll move on. We want the soil to be a little wet, but not saturated if we're gonna dig something, because if we're using saturated soil, we could ruin the texture of the soil. So it's better if, you know, we've got a lot of rainy days come. If we could get a couple of sunny days, that would be a good time to get out there and create your rain garden. So clean and fix your gutters. Observe the water flow during rain. So now is a good time for you, if you want to put in a rain garden, now's a really good time for you to look and see where's the rain going, walk around your house. Is there any ponding or puddling that I'm seeing? Is there any place where it's wicking up into the foundation of my house? That's a great place to start. And I would probably make a scaled map of my site and put where all the downspouts are on your property. Okay, so how does it flow through? At least one heavy rain would be good. You can't make water takes the path of least resistance. It's got to slope. If it doesn't slope, it's not going to go uphill. So you have to work with water. If you have a very steep site, you can still do a rain garden, but you may have to kind of tier the pathway to the rain garden so that it kind of fills up and then spills over and then fills up and then spills over, because you don't want the water just running down it. You want it slowly going onto the site so it's not creating erosion. Okay. Just kind of a picture about this. These aren't really, they're not that clear, are they? They're not that clear to me, but just, you know, we're not going to go into this, but you can keep the water very clean, you can get it into your aquifer, or you can just send it out into the storm drain where all those pollutants might go into the creeks and basins, or rivers, excuse me. So find a good location, should be 10 feet from the house. Don't locate over or near a septic system. You don't want to interfere with your septic system, which is leaching water into that surrounding soil. So it needs to be away from a septic system. A naturally low spot is nice if you can find it. Otherwise, you can dig more. But, you know, again, if you can work with what you have, locate it near a collection area. So if you've got a downspout, again, that's just producing lots and lots of water, it should be close to that downspout if possible. If you can position it in full or partial sun, that's a lot better. You'll be able to grow a lot of different plants there. And the area where the water's going to should be fairly flat. And the soil should drain fairly well, okay? Pretty much these are the same things, but in the opposite. Okay, so challenges, your soil type and condition. Maybe your soil doesn't drain well enough. Well, there's certainly things you can do. You can add compost. You can add some lava rock or something like that that can make it drain a little bit better. Do a percolation test and soil test if you're worried about how fast your soil drains. It should be between 1 and 6 inches an hour. So that means if you dug a little 12-inch hole and filled it up with water, if the surrounding soil is wet, then you can do that. If the surrounding soil is dry, fill it up once, let it dry out, and then fill it up again and test it. So you want it to drain between 1 and 6 inches per hour, okay? Keep it away from roots of large trees. Shouldn't be near the foundations of building or concrete surfaces or property lines. You probably want to keep it 5 feet from any property lines, just to be on the safe side. You can always talk to your city and see what they recommend for how far it should be from the property lines. Okay, so we're just going to take a little, do a little exercise, a little more math. Clearly my head is not ready for math, but I think we can do this. Luckily the next slide has it all written out. So we know that my roof area, the whole thing, is 4,800 square feet. I've labeled all the downspouts. There they are, okay? This one is my problem one. This one doesn't seem to work real well. So you can tell this whole roof, which is a big part of the roof, has 2 downspouts there, not a lot. I don't really think this one works very well. So a lot of water comes off of that downspout. And it does start to flood and come towards my house when I had a heavy rain. So it was really bothering me. It's like, I gotta do something about that. Think about it, think about it. Okay, so we have 2 downspouts, and this area is 1,600 square feet. We know we get 15 inches of water a year, which is 1 1/4 cubic feet. And we know that in a big storm, we get about 1 inch per big storm. So we don't have to size it for all 15 inches of water that we get in a year. We want to size it for a big storm, okay? Because it's going to dry out. It should dry out within 24 hours, the rain garden. So 1 inch per big storm. The rain garden, we're going to say, we're just going to do it 6 inches, okay? So what should the square footage of the rain garden be? Let's go through this. So we have 1,600 divided by the 2 downspouts. So each downspout takes about 800 square feet, okay? 1 inch of water for that big storm is 0.08 feet, okay? 1 inch divided by 12 is 0.08. times 800. So there's that 64 cubic feet. And if you want to convert that to gallons, feel free. Feel free. But we don't need to, okay? So that's the source, right? That's how much water we have to take care of. And the sink is the rain garden, and it's half a foot deep. So that means half of 64, no, it's actually 32, right? You know, it's probably there's some rounding or something. 32 square feet. So about 4% of the roof area. So you can just use that 4% of your roof area that's going to that downspout. Does that make sense? Questions? Does that make sense? Okay, so we have a volume of water coming off the roof. We want to make sure our rain garden can accommodate that volume of water. Okay, all right. Questions? Yes, ma'am. Sorry, she had her hand up. Yes, ma'am? Yes, it can, yes. So she's asking, the dry stream bed that leads to the rain garden is not impervious. It's not, it will also soak in some of the, yes, you could figure that out and include it in your rain garden. But remember, that water is moving, okay? So it's not going to be ponding in the rain garden, it's going to be ponding and then releasing. So it's really the rain garden that we need to worry about, the size of the rain garden. So we don't really want to include the dry stream bed or the conveyance too. Because again, it could be a pipe. It could be a pipe to the rain garden, okay? All right, yes, you had a question.
So it's worth going over these, but is this material also going to be material that gets emailed to?
No, but I do have this lovely, I'm glad you reminded me. So there's a organization they call SCVRP, because it's Santa Clara Valley Urban Runoff Pollution Prevention Program. But they have a nice little online 4-page little booklet. I don't think it printed all of it, but it on here, but at least you can get an idea of it. So I'll just pass this around, and it has some really good information about the appropriate plants and how to install and all of that. So you can just pass that around. So that's a nice resource for you. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yeah. So the question is, the tight line or impervious pipe that's going from your downspout to the rain garden, do I want it to go to the bottom or do I want it to go to the top? You could probably do it to the top, would be better. Yeah, because you could get a nice enough hydrostatic pressure from the rain garden to kind of push the water back up the pipe. So it would be better. Yeah. And remember, this is nice, clean rainwater. This is like really nice, pure water. He had his hand up back there.
I have a flat roof.
Yes.
This number applied to also.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Yeah, it works the same. So a flat roof is the same as a sloped roof. It doesn't matter. You're not taking the area, you're just taking, so even though your roof is sloped, which most of ours are, you're just taking the flat area of the roof, so it doesn't change the calculations. Any other questions, Diana?
Is there something you can buy to connect the downspout to the pipe, and how big a pipe do you use?
Connect the downspout to the pipe. Usually a 4-inch, maybe 3 or 4-inch pipe, and there is, so the question is, I don't remember to do this, the question is, what do you use to connect, if you're going to do a pipe to the rain garden, what connection do you use to go from this usually kind of rectangular downspout to this round pipe? I don't know what that part is called, but I know the contractors, it kind of funnels down to that area, so I'm sure you could go to a hardware store and find it. Okay, but he knows. I like to use a catch basin. It is a better solution. Yeah, because you can clean the leaves out. So I usually specify in my drawings that if they're taking it to a dry well or a rain garden or whatever, that they use a catch basin, which is just it's just an empty box. And so the downspout goes into the side of the catch basin, and then there's an outlet that will go to the tight line. It makes it a lot easier. And again, the leaves, will collect in there, and then you can just take the top off and kind of scoop it out and clean it out. Because otherwise, any debris in your gutter, which, we don't keep our gutters 100% clean, that's going to go right into the tight line and into the rain garden. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Just following on from that, doesn't the catch basin have the possibility of overflowing?
No. Yes, if it was way too small and you're getting a lot of flow, but they're going to size it, the contractor or you could talk to your plumbing expert or whatever. If you were going to go to a store to get some help on this, I would definitely probably go to the urban farmer store. It's not close. I wish they had a South Bay location. They're in Marin, South San Francisco, and one other location that I usually go to the South San Francisco one, but they're really good. They have everything. They have rainwater tanks. They have these connectors that I have. They have those. They're great. And they'll give you some hands-on. I wouldn't go on a Saturday. I wouldn't go first thing in the morning. Go like right after lunch. You're not going to have a lot of contractors there. They're going to be fed. They'll take time with you, but they're very good. So Urban Farmer Store would be a really good resource. I don't know why I have this again. We've really covered this. So I guess it is worth mentioning if the infiltration is less than 1 inch per hour. Remember I said 1 inch to 6 inches per hour. The rainwater garden should be 50% of the contributing area. So if it's not draining, you can amend the soil, which I already talked about, but you could just make the rain garden bigger. Okay? All right. So after doing some initial earthworks, you've figured out where it's going to go. You've dug some things. Then you're going to want to wait for a big rain, or you can just use a hose and put it down into the rain garden and just see, is everything flowing the way I want it to? Is it getting stuck up in a certain area? How's it working for me? Or you can wait for the rain, and then you might be out there in the rain like I was and digging to kind of fix it. And they will need some maintenance too. They do tend to kind of fill up. So you will need to be maybe digging it out a little bit every year, not much. And then the plants will need to be maintained a little bit. Okay. All right. So I want to show you, I told you I have this one downspout, that's it. Really bad area. It was really starting to flood towards the house. And I'd thought about it for a couple of years. And then one year I said, this ends now. We're doing it. So I was out in the rain and I'm like, okay, right here, that's about 10 feet. Okay, maybe this size. I didn't measure anything. I just went out there and dug. So like I said, you can be fairly cavalier when it's your house. Now hopefully, okay, there you go. So, it's kind of nice. It's, okay, so you can see, look, I'm getting a little bit, it's maybe not quite deep enough. We could do that one more time. I don't know why it doesn't show at the bottom here. Yeah. You can see I put in, oh, here's a little Douglas iris, a little Douglas iris. We won't talk about that plant. But it's all going into this pretty small basin. It was too small. Oh yeah. Okay, so here are my cheats if your rain garden isn't big enough. You can use a garden fork to create more aeration in the bottom. You could definitely dig up the bottom soil and add some sand and compost to it, kind of amend the soil a little bit more. Or you could add a rain barrel, which is what I ended up making it bigger. I didn't even aerate it. Actually, I just made it a little bit bigger, and it was fun, and it was fine. But I did add a rain barrel, too, and that has helped a lot. Okay, so we're talking about plants. What would be good plants? These are really different plants. Yeah, they're kind of different. So, for the basin of the rain garden, you need very specific plants. And that's why people like Carex panza so much, common rush, because it can be inundated with water, which means it can be underwater. The crown of the plant can be underwater. And then it's in the summertime, it's still green, and it can be very drought tolerant. So it's a very unusual plant. I'll give you some other characteristics. It's nice if the plant grows in the winter and early spring, and if it can then go summer dormant, then you don't have to worry about it, okay? Then you're really not watering it. And there are quite a few native plants that do go summer dormant, okay? Plants that naturally like wet winters and dry summers. There are a few, like I just talked about, Juncus patens. Bulbs. Most of our bulbs start to grow in the fall when the rains come, and then a lot of them don't want any water during the summertime. So bulbs can be a really good idea for a rain garden. Water-loving annuals. There's some water-loving annuals. Even plants from vernal pools. Vernal pools are those places like along Highway 5 on your way, is it 5? Is it 80? On your way to Sacramento, there's a vernal pool is an area where it's a depression in the ground, but it doesn't drain. So it's like, it's a depression, you get a lot of rainwater, and then it has to evaporate. So it's a very, very special condition. There's no drainage, there's some kind of a hard pan below it or whatever, but plants from vernal pools tend to do pretty well. So here are some plants that I selected that might be something that you could think of. Again, you're all going to get this presentation, so you'll all have that. And we'll just go through a few of these. So western columbine, it is a spring bloomer, but it does like a lot of water. I don't water mine enough. And it would really appreciate the water in the wintertime. We have something called a stream orchid. Again, it only grows in the wintertime, blooms, and then it disappears completely in the summertime. So that's what we mean by summer dormant. It'll disappear completely. This is a plant that you wouldn't typically think of, I certainly didn't, think of would be good for a rain garden. I think this grows more in the mountains of California, near the Bay Area, but I was surprised. I had a little tiny one. And then I put in my rain garden and it went, wow. It just loved all the extra water. So that one needs a real hard cutting back in the winter. And this is one that blooms in the summertime, but again, it likes that extra water. And you can cut it back in December. Once it gets past freezing, it really starts to grow again. Iris do really nicely. They would not, none of these plants that I'm talking about would be in the bottom of the rain garden. These would more be on the side, okay? So iris would do really well. Now here's that common Rush Juncus. it would do really well in the bottom where it can get inundated. Leopard lily, again, likes a lot of water, and it's one of those bulbs that doesn't want summer water, so then you can just cut it back and it'll be summer dormant. Sidalcia, it blooms in the spring and then it just absolutely goes away. I have a love-hate relationship with this plant. I think a lot of us do. It loves the water, loves to be near my rain garden. I can't get rid of it. So it's kind of a thug, but it's really nice in the fall because it's one of the few plants, it's quite drought tolerant in the summertime, and it has these beautiful yellow flowers that the pollinators really like in the fall. So just know that if you put it in, you will have it forever. Okay, and this is, so this is kind of what, you saw it bare, my little rain garden. This is in the fall when everything needs to be cut back. But you can see, let's see, I was hoping I could see, there's that thug, that Solidago, and there's the California fuchsia. You can tell there's really no blooms on it now. It's really ready to be cut back. I was hoping I could see the Juncus. I think the Juncus is just right back there. That's a California fuchsia. That's well away, so it does fine. But you can see, once they're planted, you don't see them anymore until you cut everything back, and then you'll kind of see it. So there's lots of plants that you can use. You have a nice selection, you know. And again, it's a place that you can grow things that you may not be able to grow in other parts of your yard. You know, things that really like a lot of water. Okay? So just a brief thing on plants. Any questions on plants for rain gardens? Okay, we're going to go on to rain barrels. All right. A lot of us, you know, rain barrels got really popular like 10, 15 years ago. Everybody was buying rain barrels. And it's like, they're 55 gallons. What can you really do with 55 gallons? So I was really kind of opposed to them. But I have new respect for rain barrels. I tell all my clients, they don't always do it, but I tell all my clients they have to have a rain barrel because it's a good source of emergency water. Most of us don't have emergency water, and we may need it during an earthquake. How long has it been since, let's see, 1989, right, was our last big earthquake. It's been quite a while. So it's a great source of water during emergency. Of course, it must be filtered and cleaned before drinking. But it's really important also that when you're shopping for a rain barrel, get one that is safe for, I forget what they call it, that's safe for consumption. So nothing awful has been in there, okay? It's also really, that water is really great for plants that are sensitive to chlorine or chloranamine, which is what we have in my area, you know, that's in the city water. So it's really nice and pure and fresh. So what I started using it for is I have, and I'm sure you do too, you have certain areas that don't get watered during the rainy season. These are areas that are under overhangs. So it's a great place to use to those areas because they want some extra water. So the more you use your rain barrel, the more use you're getting out of it, you know? The 55 gallon becomes a larger and larger amount if you're emptying it. So I try to empty it every time I know that there's a storm coming. And believe me, it fills up during one storm really fast, okay? So, and I went to a class, there's an organization called ARCSA, American Rainwater Catchment something. But I went to a class on rainwater harvesting, and the guy said the same thing. He was opposed to rain barrels, too little, not worth it, but then he said it's the gateway drug to cisterns. Once you see how well a rain barrel works, you're a lot more, you'll start to think more about maybe putting in some larger cisterns, okay? So here's my little rain barrel. You can tell, let's look at this picture. Okay, yeah, I had it, I just, put everything together. So I have it on some blocks. You do want to raise it up. You get a little bit more pressure, and then it also allows you to put the spout as low as possible. So you're getting all the water. Now, I'm very bad. This should be strapped to that post, okay? Water weighs 8 pounds per gallon. It's very heavy. So 55 gallons, that's over 400 pounds. Could really hurt somebody during an earthquake. Okay, I promise that's my homework. Your homework is what? Who remembers your homework? Yes, great. So, and my homework is get my rain barrel strapped. Okay, but you can see this is something that I think I bought this years ago. I was never really sure how to connect it up, so I really needed to really investigate that, because this is literally a container that used to have olives in it, so it's perfectly safe for me to drink that water that comes out of it after I filter and clean it. Okay, so here's just a little video. I had emptied that rain barrel the night before, and you can see it's full. So it fills up very quickly. I'm trying to pause it. I can't pause it. I paused it. Okay, hold on. Darn. I paused it too soon. We'll see if we can do this again one more time. And you notice there's a little sign that comes on there that says it's not potable. You have to filter it. Okay, let's see if I can do this again. Ta-da! Okay, so what I love, this is called an earth-minded diverter kit for a rain barrel. And that's what I'm giving away here today. What I like about these is most of the time, well, all of the time, you need to have a way, once your rain barrel fills, you need a place for that water to go. This allows you to use, once the barrel is filled, if you connect it up right, then the rest of the water just goes down your downspout. So I find that very, very easy. Now, I'll tell you the one detractor is, so this is what it looks like, and this fits into your downspout. I think mine is 2 by 3, my downspout. So what you can see is there's like a little cup. I'll pass this around. There's a little cup, and then when that fills, it goes down. When that fills, yeah, so when it fills, then it goes down into the downspout. But what I have found is if you have any debris in your gutters, it will tend to collect here. So probably once or twice a year, there's some little screws, and you can kind of see that there. You might have to pull it out, clean it out, and then pop it back in. It's not hard, maybe 10, 15 minutes or something like that. But that's the one detractor. It comes with, this tubing that you can expand. It comes with a little, these are pretty cheap, a little plastic. It won't last that long, but once it's not working or breaks or cracks or whatever, you can get a brass one and put it in the same way. And Diana, this is what I was telling you. So you can see this is threaded, and then there's a piece, I don't remember which piece it is. Yeah, it looks like it's that piece that goes from the inside that keeps it. So that's how you attach things. You do have to be inside. I know. Some of them, it is kind of hard to do that. Yeah. It is. It is. Mine was nice and clean at the time, so because I'd never used it. So yeah, so it comes with that. It comes with some little saw blades so that you can drill into the downspout and then also into the barrel. So there's 3 little saw blades that come with it. What I found here also is, I don't remember, I think it was No, actually it was drilling into the barrel. I usually use a cordless. It didn't have quite enough torque, so I had to use a plugged drill to use it. So you may have to play with it a little bit, and it takes, it took me 2.5 times as long as what they say when you buy them. But you can find this on Amazon, and I think they're maybe $30, $40, maybe $40. So, but they're just, it's my favorite. So far, it is my favorite, okay? So I'll pass this around. The bag's a little ripped. Please try to keep all the pieces together because we want this to go to somebody. But you can just get an idea. Oh, and if you have a lot of rain barrels and you don't want to buy those saw blades over and over again, what's the point? Urban Farmer, I told you that store, Urban Farmer, they have just some of the parts without the saw blades. Okay, the company, they don't have it on Amazon, just the bits. So, yeah, you need that. All right, any questions about that? It's the easiest one I've found. And if I can do it, you can do it. Questions? All right. Okay, so where do you get rain barrels? There, it used to be, is it too bright? We need to turn down the front lights. Thank you, Kevin, that's great. It used to be a little hard when they first became popular, but now they're everywhere. They're online, they're at hardware stores. Home Depot has them. Food grade, that's what I was looking for. Food grade plastic is best in case you need to use the water for drinking. And why not think about using the water for drinking? So there's that earth-minded, do-it-yourself rain barrel diverter. I really like that one. Urban Farmer has parts. Raise the rain barrel up on box and strap it. My homework to prevent tipping. Okay, rebates, they're available. $50 through Palo Alto Public Works or Bosca, and $35 through valleywater.org. Again, I think you still need to get permission from the rebate before proceeding. Always check. Always check. It's not hard to check. So that's it. Rain barrels are simple. Any questions on rain barrels? Anybody going to put in a rain barrel? Yes. Good job. Yes. You should have it, even just for emergency use. Question?
I see a neighbor has a wine barrel.
Yeah.
Is that potable, do you think?
Yeah, sure it is, of course. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, better be. Yeah. All right. Yes?
How long can I keep the water?
You can keep it, I wouldn't, less than a year. I'd want to empty it before the next, ideally before the next rainfall. But if you kept it over the dry summer, then before the rainfall in the summertime, or in the fall would be good. He had his hand up, so.
How do you deal with mosquitoes?
The lid is covered. Any entry points are screened. Yeah, and the lid is locked because we don't want children getting in there or anything like that. No, any kind of opening must be screened. Yep. Yes?
Is there any logical or reasonable way to attach this to go into your raised beds?
Mm-hmm.
And is it a good idea?
That depends on your roof. I was just telling somebody. Yes, so again, Urban Farmer, they have, valves that you use for irrigation. They have a little valve that you can use for a rain barrel. So you can connect it up to your irrigation controller. Isn't this great? They had it made. They had it designed and made. They're the only ones that carry it. So they have this little valve. If you want it automatic. If you don't want it automatic, then the pressure in the rain barrel and in the cisterns is quite low, right? It's not like the pressure that we get out of our city water. So you can't use pressure compensating emitters. Okay, so don't have to worry about that. Use 1/4 inch inline tubing. I mean, you could just use a hose. That's probably the easiest. But you could use 1/4 inch inline tubing. None of the 1/4 inch is pressure compensating emitters, so you could use that.
So,
Didn't repeat the question. What was your question? How do you use this for raised beds?
yeah.
Okay.
Is it safe for edible stuff coming off the gravel?
We're going to talk about that during cisterns. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. You. Yes.
Do you recommend a separate barrel per downspout, or do you somehow connect the downspouts?
The downspouts are usually quite far. You could, for dry wells, I often will connect the downspouts to one dry well, but for rain barrels, you could use a separate one. You just have to kind of manage it. Yes. Did you have a question? Sorry. No, you had another question. I haven't been repeating it. You forgot. I'm sorry. It'll come. It'll come back. Okay? Rain barrels, done. Easy, easy. Really good for emergencies.